Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to the Last Word Sports, and today is the companion video of our last video. Today we'll be discussing the winners of the American League divisions as well as the wild card spots. So, just like we started with the NL West in the last video, we'll start with the AL West. Boys, who do we have winning the AL West? Because I know it's
The
kind
trash
of a
can beaters.
It's really a two-team race, and one of the teams I don't like.
Hold on, Fletch.
What?
You have the trash can beater, Scott?
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm going.
I hate you. Go Angels.
Listen, guys, hold on. If the Angels won the division, I would be so happy. I'm rooting for the Angels. I like the Angels way more than the Astros. But like realistically speaking, what if the Astros won 11 of their last 12 or something? I mean, like they won like 10 in a row.
They're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, but like before
Which is
that,
still
they
good.
went on a tear because they were sitting a little below 500, like 15 games into the season. But listen, they're just a really well-run franchise. As much as it bemoans me to say it, Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker, who were not there during all the scandals, are two really great young players. I think Yordan's second in home runs behind Judge this year. He's crushing it.
I don't know if he's. I think he's top 5 for sure.
He's up there.
He's been doing great.
Verlander, who I've got on my fantasy team, is 40 and is still like at the top of the Cy Young, candidates this year. He's killing it.
The Cy Young.
Yeah, their whole rotation is really nice. Valdez, Garcia, they've got a bunch of guys. I think Lance McCullers is going to come back at some point this season too. So yeah, they're just a really well-run team. Jeremy Pena has really emerged in Correa's absence. He's been a really, really solid player for them. And obviously Altuve is still, good. He's not quite, the MVP caliber player he was, but they're just well-run coming off of a World Series appearance. I think they're probably going to win the division. And I do have the Angels in my wild card spot in one of them. Like, I think the Angels are a good team, but it's just hard, I think, for them to kind of be able to maintain this momentum with the more shaky pitching staff.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. I wouldn't call their pitching staff shaky either. I think it's all right.
More shaky.
But yeah, I'm picking the Angels out of pure hatred for the Astros, but I think there is some validity behind it. With Mike Trout back, he's having a great year. He's batting like 320 with 11 bombs or something like that.
If Taylor Ward were not having like the greatest season ever, Trout would be first in my MVP rankings.
Yeah.
Right now it's like Ward, Trout, and then obviously Ohtani's up there.
And Shohei.
Shohei's got like a sub-3 ERA. I think it was actually against the Red Sox where he just had his best game, struck out like 12, went 7 scoreless, and then, cranked a double off the Green Monster that was so hard it knocked down his own number off the Fenway.
And while he's only batting around 250 this year, he's still hitting bombs. I think he's got 8 home runs or something like that.
I mean, he was only like 265 last year.
Yeah, and so it's a minor regression in batting average, and he's still putting it over the fence. He's getting extra bases. He's a remarkable base running threat too. He's super fast.
Yeah, he's really fast. Good athlete.
And so it's just, I feel like that 3-headed monster. If Ward can keep up, I'm not saying he has to play as good as he is right now.
If Ward can go for 330 homers, I mean, because right now he's batting 380 with a 500 on base percentage and a 1200 OPS. And he's leading the league in all 3 of those categories. And if he can go, he's got like 10 homers too. But if he goes 330 homers, I mean, that is ridiculous for a guy like him to emerge like that.
Yeah. With Mike Trout back playing as good as ever, really, and Shohei also in the mix, pitching beauties left and right, and he's still putting it over the fence, and he gets tons of extra base hits and RBIs. I think the Angels are geared up really as long as their rotation can hold up solid and their bullpen doesn't let them down.
Yeah, they've got a really good closer, and Patrick Sandoval and Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard got lit up the other night by Texas, but other than that, he's been solid.
He's still solid.
Year. Yeah, and Sandoval's been good. It really just remains to be seen if guys like Reed Detmers, who did throw a no-hitter, which was really impressive. He's a young player the other day and does seem to have a very bright future, but his ERA is still like 4.5 or so right now. So they're really going to need guys like him to kind of maintain, just like playing solid enough to keep them in games, because really their lineup is elite. And even guys like Jared Walsh and Rendon, are playing well.
On his name.
Rendon's a good player, man. Hit that
He
lefty
is a
home
good
run.
player. Dude, that was
And,
wild. That was wild.
and Andrew Velasquez, former Yankee, great defensively. The squid.
Yeah. And so.
And I mean, the narrative throughout Mike Trout's entire career has been, get this man some help. You know, his entire career, it's just been Mike Trout on the Angels, and everyone else has just kind of been disposable. Everyone else is kind of.
They had like a well past his prime Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
That was about it.
They're sending Albert to steal bases nowadays, man. He's elite.
Did you see that? He stole so fast the catcher didn't even throw it to second.
Love Albert.
Oh man, yeah. But they signed some guys like Justin Upton here and there, Matt Harvey, guys. It's like, oh no, we can build the team. All past their prime, all went to shit. But
yeah,
finally, he has help. Finally, he's got like 4 other for sure guys in the lineup who could hit a bomb or could hit over 300. Finally,
and the pitching staff seems solid enough.
Decent pitchers, like honestly, like I feel like Mike Trout is one of those guys that, like, given the opportunity to get in a position where he could win the playoffs where they are right now, I don't think they're going to lose their division. I don't. I think that, one, as we know, we've seen this before, guys who grinds like hard throughout the course of the season, and guys who are like willing to work together and bond together, band together, those usually are going to be successful baseball teams, because it's a lot more mental than it is physical. Because when you get to the dog days like July and August,
the long season,
you're going to need leaders. You're going to need guys who are going to band your team together. I just feel like the Angels are going to be more successful at that than the Astros, regardless of talent. Even though the Angels talent,
I think it's, I don't know if that's the thing that I would say the Angels have an advantage over the Astros in. Like, the Astros have been like a well-run winning organization for many years now.
That's true.
They've got some veteran leaders like Verlander and Altuve, and they still have like young talent like Pena and Alvarez and Tucker who are, raking. So I think the strength in the Angels really just lies in the fact that I don't think there's any better 1-2 punch in the entire league than Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. And if Taylor Ward's doing Taylor Ward things, then you've got maybe the 3 best players in the league. Like, at least the way they're playing
crazy.
This season.
But as of now, it kind of is looking like that. Aaron Judge has had a great year too. And, a few others.
And then you have 3 MVP winners on a team.
It's ridiculous.
That'd be wild.
Ridiculous. And it's like, yeah, sure, the Astros, they've been sticking to some winning ways for a while now. They just had a chance to win another World Series last year. Fell short of that goal. And they're a good team. They're a well-run team.
They just got hot at the right time, though.
Yeah. And
I don't think they should have been there, to be honest.
I just think total talent in.
Oh, really? Who'd they get hot against? Boston? Was it Boston they got hot against?
I think it was. Was it the
Regional
Sox?
Series last year?
Chuck, could you remind us?
Who beat the Yankees out of the playoffs? That was Boston. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Who's only one
Yeah,
game ahead of the
sure.
Orioles right now?
We'll get to that.
All right. So yeah, I have the Angels winning. I think Houston. Either way, I think the team that comes up second in this division is shoo-in for the wild card, and so it's top 2 teams in that division are great.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because there's a lot of really good teams in the AL East. I actually have the Angels as my 3rd wild card, but I still I think they're gonna make the wild card.
Yeah,
for sure.
Now, shall we move on to the AL Central? Or rather,
the worst division.
Rather mid division.
Yeah,
the worst division in baseball, and I'll say it with my chest: the worst division in baseball.
I just don't I don't know who to pick. On paper right now, you would pick Minnesota, but then the White Sox have capabilities of getting hot sometimes.
I took Chicago. Chicago.
It's tough. I think I am gonna stick with Minnesota, who is leading right now. But it's tough. It's close. I don't really watch any of these teams. They're not fun to watch, with the exception of like Byron Buxton. But
Dude, Buxton is unreal. He's
He's
batting like 250 and he's slugging,
fantastic.
or his OPS is over 1,000 because the guy just will like miss 4 games and then come back and he just hits like a homer every game.
Yeah,
the guy
he's
is nuts.
he's
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 really
an
he's really
animal.
put it together when he can stay on the field at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
And so I'm just sort of the reason I picked Minnesota is I'm hoping, I'm relying on him to stay on the field and not miss a lot of time and sort of lead that team on. The White Sox could easily win. Heck, I mean, Cleveland could make a run. This division isn't really solved in my eyes.
Yeah.
They're all
Cleveland's got, I mean, obviously Ramirez is great.
Yeah.
And they've got some solid pitchers, some good young pitchers, but I don't trust
I don't
the
trust
rest
them.
of Cleveland's lineup.
It's a bit
I don't
lacking
think
in talent.
Cleveland has been surprising this year for me. You know, guys like Owen Miller, Stephen Kwan, just
Steven
had like
Kwan, Oregon State, baby.
Come
had,
on,
like,
baby.
really good seasons. Like, you know, you see them play and you look at their stats and it's like, who are these guys and how are they putting up those numbers? I've never heard
Yeah.
of you. And it's like, you don't even hear about them like through prospects or anything. Like they're one of those guys who just appears.
It just
And
shows
especially
up.
on a team like Cleveland, that's just so random at this time. It's like, what is going on?
It feels like a Cleveland type thing, though. Just a
Right?
bunch of random dudes you'd never heard of, and they're playing all right. But
I don't think Cleveland really has a shot in hell though. Who I have winning this division is Chicago.
Me too.
I think
Fair.
the injury to Lance Lynn has been like way more impactful than we might have
Definitely.
thought.
But Giolito
because-
just came back,
Giolito just came back,
and Lynn will be
Um,
back, I think, before the end of the month or
hopefully.
some point in June.
But again, like Chicago is just one of those teams that like has experience for one, even though they're super young, because this division's horrible, they have experience being top dogs. And I see them repeating as division leaders because I really don't think there's anyone else in this division who can combat them.
I mean,
Like
I think it's a race between Minnesota and Chicago. I think the other three are out.
Those are good. I'm not denying that. I just
Yeah.
don't think they have anything better than Chicago.
I'm
Other
with
than
you there. And
probably
Correa has been unimpressive, honestly. He's batting like
Correa's been
260 with 2
horrible.
homers. Yeah.
considering
I-
for how much they
I
hit
would
for him,
ex-
he's horrible.
I would
Second
expect
best-
Correa to pick it up a bit. I would
Actually,
expect
probably
Correa.
No, he'll definitely play better as the year goes on. And Minnesota does have some solid pieces. But when you go through their lineup and you're seeing guys like Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela,
Dude, you're a big
you know,
fan of
it's-
those guys.
nobody's really like scaring me on Minnesota outside of Buck Daddy.
Of course,
And
when he says, "Yeah, they're not scaring me," he names the former
He
Yankees.
names the former Yankees. Dude, I've only ever heard Scotty talk about Gary Sanchez in the most
In a positive
uplifting,
light.
positive
Listen,
light there is.
Gary did a lot of solid things for New York, and I appreciate him. But defensively, he's one of the worst catchers in the league.
He hit some solid 215 years, bro. That was crazy.
Okay, he had some 30 homer seasons, man. He was solid. But
Yeah.
like when I look at the White Sox, let's move on to the White Sox. I really like their pitching staff when guys are healthy. Dylan Cease has been elite this year. Huge strikeout numbers. Obviously Liam Hendricks is a really good closer.
Potentially, he's a great closer. He's had some struggle,
Potentially,
but like
yeah.
he's
Got the talent to be a really good closer. And you've got the three-headed monster last year of Lynn, Giolito, and Rodon. Obviously they lost Rodon, but I think Cease can kind of step into that role. Fletcher, your boy Johnny Cueto, they picked him up. He had 7 strikeouts and went 6 scoreless the
I
other day.
love
for
me
the
some
White Sox.
Cueto. I love me some Johnny Cueto.
The truth is, like, their lineup should be good enough, if they can just find some consistency. I mean, Abreu had a little bit of a slump, but Tim Anderson's going to he's going to bat over 300. That's just who he is. Garcia's a solid player. Who's the outfielder that's been doing good for him this year? Luis Robert. He's been playing really nicely.
I mean, Jose Abreu's going to turn it on. He went through a slump, but
Yeah. AJ Pollock's a solid player. He'll find some more consistency.
Yohan Moncada just got back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
No, I
I think
definitely.
they'll end up winning the division.
Yeah, they've had too many variables this year. Once everything kind of like straightens out for them, I definitely do think they'll make a run. It's just a matter of getting guys back on the field.
They're capable.
And because of how crappy the division is, like they have a shot regardless.
Yeah.
They're
I
still
mean,
only 3.5 games back right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And they're going to have a ton of not free wins, but pretty easy wins against the likes of Detroit, KC,
Yeah.
the bottom
Cleveland.
feeders. Cleveland.
Okay.
Detroit won like a bunch of games where they like could not score more than like one run.
Okay.
Moving on to the second
let's
best division in baseball.
the best division in baseball.
Second
Let's
best
just-
division.
Best
All right.
division in baseball.
Second
Well,
best
actually,
division.
if the Red Sox are terrible, then I'd say the NL West is the best division
They're
because
not terrible.
the Diamondbacks and the
They're awful.
Rockies have both played better than the Red Sox this year. The Diamondbacks have had a bunch of pitchers who have been really solid. When you look at Merrill Kelly, Madison Bumgarner, Zach Gallen, CJ Cron leads the NL in home runs. They've both outperformed the Red Sox, at least to start the season. So,
Dude, we
And it's
have
not
good-
by a slim margin either.
no.
kind of.
In fact, the Red Sox are so irrelevant to this discussion. I don't think we should talk about them for the rest of the video.
I really don't think they need to be brought up.
Okay, stop. This isn't funny. we
It's
we
not.
okay.
There's nothing
there's
comical
there's
about what
nothing
we're
to
saying.
talk about though.
About the season we're having right now, we have our two best players having some of the better years of their careers. On
Yeah, Rafi and Xander are playing well. Like
Yeah.
you guys are outperforming yourselves, and you're still terrible.
Yeah,
dude,
that's why I have no faith.
it is bad. And
Yeah.
the fact that, like, oh yeah, we'll spend money, we'll go get Jackie Bradley Jr. back, and then call
Dude,
that like,
JBJ was a bum in Milwaukee, man.
dude, he was a bum when he was in Boston before he went to Milwaukee.
He's got a huge arm in the outfield, but like he's not. Yeah,
Man.
Dude, he's 20. He's not the like answer to our problems. I don't understand why we get rid of Hunter Renfroe for him, and then we go out and we make this huge signing, this blockbuster signing.
story has been.
He's hitting like 220 with like 2 home runs right now.
Yeah.
Supposed to be this godsend that's supposed to save us.
Yeah.
Freaking.
I was
he gives
hoping
us-
the Yankees would sign him, and now I'm
Yeah.
glad they didn't. Yeah.
Thank God he's. I'm just-
I'd rather have Isaiah Kiner Falefa, man.
I'm so
I'm
thrilled
rolling
that
with
Trevor
IKF
Story.
any day.
Gosh, it's just so nice that Trevor Story left and made room for CJ Cron on the
He's a
Rockies.
dog.
DJ Cole was already on the squad. That's your facts, right?
Yeah, I know, but come on, the dog on that
He
team is
allowed
Trevor
him to
Story for
emerge.
for
He
a lot
allowed
of
him
teams.
to
He's
emerge
allowed the
by
Crone
leaving.
machine to emerge
Crone
by
zone.
leaving.
In all realness, though, guys, the AL East, I do have, unfortunately, the Yankees winning the division, and it really
Me
it
too.
pains me to say. I think Aaron Judge is going to have another MVP year, as much as I hate to say it.
I would put 3 guys on the Angels ahead of him. Maybe not Shohei, although he's Shohei, so probably Shohei. But yeah, Judge has been great. He leads the league in homers. What's been incredibly shocking to me has been our rotation this year. I think actually we have like top 5. We're top 5 in like team ERA. We're 1 actually. We have the best ERA. We're ahead of the Dodgers at 2.74. When you look at the lineup, this is what has really been stellar for me. Obviously, Garrett Cole had a couple rough starts to begin the year, but his ERA is under 3.
He's
Garrett
sub
Cole.
3
He's
ERA
already.
now. Yeah.
Nestor Cortes has been huge. I drafted him in fantasy, and the guy's like legitimately an AL Cy Young candidate right now. His ERA is like 1.3. He's huge. And then Jordan Montgomery, Jameson Tyone, those guys aren't elite, but they've been solid starters. They're both hovering around an ERA of 3. And we've got Severino back, who's kind of working his way up, getting his feet underneath him. And the big thing is our bullpen, man. You look at Clay Holmes. You laughed last year, Chuck, when we traded for Clay Holmes from the Pittsburgh Pirates. You were like, who's Clay Holmes? What's Clay Holmes going to do? Clay Holmes is an ERA of like 0.48 right now. He's gone like 17 innings scoreless or something. That he's like, the guy's unreal. And Michael King out of the bullpen has been huge. Honestly, I wouldn't hate it if we moved King or Holmes to the closer position over Aroldis Chapman, because he kind of gives me a heart attack every time he gets out there.
A little bit of a heart attack.
Yeah, he's a
And-
lefty flanker. You can't get rid of him because they're like a godsend.
They are.
Yep.
Yeah. I also have the Yankees. However, I think it's gonna end up being a much closer race than it looks like right
Yeah,
now.
like,
Tampa
even
Bay
as
is
a
going to
Yankees
creep
fan,
up,
I'm
and
not
the
that
Yankees are
sure
going
of
to
us.
cool down. The Yankees
Bay.
are going to cool down.
And,
Like
and
you
Toronto.
said,
Toronto's
Clay
got some good
Holmes'
players.
ERA is what, like 0.48 or something?
Yeah.
That's going to go up.
Probably.
A lot. It'll be, yeah. It will not stay that low. And as good as their bullpen has been, Chapman's going to give up some untimely dingers or something of the sort. Y'all are going to.
Loaisiga's been struggling, and Chad Green just got hurt too.
And so I still have them winning the division, but I do see them getting brought down to earth again. They have a chance at maybe breaking 100 wins. I could see it.
I mean, we're definitely going to cool down. I would expect the Rays and Blue Jays to give us much more of a fight. I'm a Yankees fan. I love this team. Stanton's been raking. Judge has been raking. Rizzo hit 3 homers in a game. But realistically speaking, this is a really tough division. The Rays are as good as anybody in the league. The Blue Jays have a ton of talent. The only team that's completely out of this race is Boston.
Yeah. Boston and Baltimore, yeah.
No, Baltimore still got a shot. They actually beat us.
Come on, dude.
Jorge Mateo.
Okay, can we get to wild card,
all right. Let's roll over to the wild card. Who's your guys' number one?
I want to go last. You guys go ahead and start.
So I've got the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Angels as my 3. which I think is pretty fair.
I have Rays, Angels, Blue Jays.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you have Rays, Angels. I thought you had the Angels winning the AL West.
Well, oh wait, no, I meant
you have the Astros.
I meant Astros. Rays, Astros,
okay.
Blue Jays. Yeah, Rays, Astros, Blue Jays.
Okay, here we go, guys. I have the Rays.
He's gonna have Boston.
I have the Astros.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Boston at 3rd, guys. And here,
you're a nut. You're a nut.
Hear me out. There are too many factors that go into play when discussing the Boston Red Sox play this season. Number 1, I'm going to bring up the injuries. Chris Sale has been absolutely detrimental. Him has been so
I'm going to get a headache.
A clear ace. Nathan Iavaldi hasn't been cutting it this year. We have potential with guys like
Iavaldi was good until that one game he got 5 dingers hit off him.
He hasn't been as he's been playing in the past.
To be fair to Iavaldi in that one instance, Scott, though, we mentioned earlier in our previous video, Rodon's been the leading candidate for the Cy Young.
Yeah, no, it was one bad outing. But the point I'm making is you can't expect Iavaldi to be that much better than he's been this year. I'm
not saying that he should be. I'm saying he hasn't been playing up to his standards because he was a Cy Young candidate.
He pretty much has.
With Sale out, he's been a Cy Young candidate last year.
Sorta. He's never really in.
He was an elite pitcher last year. I wouldn't have been sure to call him Cy Young, but he was definitely elite.
So as I was talking about, we got guys like Houck and Whitlock who we're trying to convert over from relievers into
I really like Houck, man. He's got some good stuff, but I think those two are a couple years off from being elite pitchers.
They've been a couple years off for 2 years now, and we're finally starting to give Whitlock 5, 6, 7 innings a start, and he's looking good. He's looking like he's striking a lot of guys out, limiting hits. The home runs are kind of an issue for him right now. But
shaky at times.
He's still young. He's finding his way. Pivetta just dealt against the Astros a day ago or 2 days ago. Again, he's been a little bit underwhelming from the season he had last year, but he can still turn it around. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. We are waiting for Chris Sale.
Chris Sale's good.
When he gets back, I think our rotation gets a little bit more firepower in it.
Yeah.
So, instead of the 1-2 losses in the division series, maybe we go 2-1. Maybe we sweep, the Orioles or the Blue Jays or the Rays. Maybe we get hot at a certain time in the dog days. Again, I said the dog days are a really grueling time during the baseball season. And when we have guys like Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, Kike Hernandez, guys that can lead a team through those dog days.
Trevor Story.
Shut up. Guys who know how to win baseball games late in the year. I think we are going to win over the Blue Jays just because of that, man. I love the Blue Jays as a team. They are so fun to watch. Vladdy's one of my favorite players. Gausman has actually been really surprising. I didn't think he was going to be as good.
I thought he was going to fall back.
I was probably just a little bit of bias, but he's continued his form, and it's actually gotten better since last year.
He's been really, really good.
Been really impressive. impressive,
But-
and it's hurt
But
me.
because of that fact,
Alec Manoah's been good too.
absolutely. I think Boston has just all around more firepower than the Blue Jays when they're playing up to their potential. And I don't believe they've
No.
been playing up to their potential right now.
Here's the thing: is that Rafi and Xander have been playing up
Yeah.
to their potential, and they're
Your
still.
two best players have
Yeah,
been doing
it's your
okay.
two best players playing as good as they have been, and you're
So,
7
Chuck.
games under 500. You're 7 games under 500.
Chuck, here's what I
Great
want to say.
check.
Chuck, I'll legitimately address this because Boston had much higher expectations going into the year than this. And listen, we joke about them being horrible and worse than the Orioles. They're not. I would expect Boston to get much closer to 500 as the year goes on, and they will probably make at least a late push for playoff contention. But it's just going to be hard. They're only 4.5 games back of the Blue Jays right now, so they could catch them. I
Yeah.
could see it happening,
There's
Chuck.
a
But
lot of baseball.
it's tough because one, I don't know when Sale's coming back, and when he does, how reliable is he going to be?
I
Like
think they
last
have-
year, he was good, but he didn't really get his feet all the way under him.
He wasn't the same, but like he was still dealing.
He's definitely an improvement. Two, Iavaldi. The point about Iavaldi, he had that bad game against the Astros. His ERA was 3.7 last year. It was 3.7 the year before that. This year, it was like 3.5 up until that game he had against the Astros. Like, it was a bad game, but generally, he's been solid this year. Like, I don't think you can expect him to give you much better than an ERA around 3.5. And the thing is, yeah, I think the argument that you have is guys like Kike Hernandez, guys like Trevor Story, they should pick it up. They should find some rhythm as the year goes on. I think that's probably where you're going to hope. The rest of your lineup outside of Xander and Rafi will hopefully kind of put it together. And I think they will, and you guys will win some series. You probably put yourself out of the division race because just being 12.5 games back is kind of tough.
Not with the,
Oh,
not
yeah,
with
there's
the-
no shot.
Again,
That's
like,
why-
and the Blue Jays, the
And
Blue
like
Jays
we
really have kind of underperformed. Like everybody thought they were going to be like one of the best teams in the league, and they're kind of just hovering right above 500.
They were in the top 5 and like at the
Every
very
power
least
ranking.
top 7 of every power ranking early on in the year.
I didn't think they were going to be top 5. I thought like from the start they were kind of ranked a little high.
That's
Because
that's
they
fair.
lost 2 of their top 5 players to free agency, and like when that
Yeah.
happens again, like team goes kind of to a mourning period phase.
Semi has been terrible for Texas, by the way.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Both been horrible. But
That's
like,
been
Gausman's been pretty much as good as Ray was last year, at least to start the
Yeah.
season.
great.
And then
but
what
I think
what
their
did Bo
pitching
Bichette's
staff as a
numbers look
whole-
like this year?
He's
Bichette's been struggling.
Struggling?
There's a lot of hype around his name. He's always just kind of been mid.
Dude, what are you talking about? What are you
Okay,
talking-
yeah, he's batting
Always
240
been
with
mid?
4 homers. He is
Chuck,
going to do
last
better.
year-
than that.
Last year, he batted 300 with like 30 homers.
He batted 300 last year. No shot.
He was
Yeah,
298 with
He
29
batted
homers.
298 with 29 homers last year. So I would definitely expect
Stroke
him
goes,
to
he's
pick it
been
up.
mid.
Year, though,
I would expect him to pick it up and get maybe not back to that form, but a little bit closer to that form as the year goes on. I would expect Kevin Gausman to keep dealing until after the All-Star break.
I
Then
think
he'll cool down.
Barrios has been a little he's had some struggles this year.
I mean,
So there's some things they can iron out.
There's
He has
some
some struggles every year.
Here's the thing:
Yeah.
they're 3-7
He's
in
in
the last
some
10
things.
games, and they're still 4.5 games above the Sox. I think they could easily turn it around. Or 3-7 in the last 10, still 4.5 games ahead of the Sox.
I think Boston could make it interesting for that
They
last
could.
wild card
They
spot.
could, but I
For
think
sure.
Toronto.
I wouldn't count them out.
I would
wouldn't count 'em
expect
out,
the
but I'd lean
margin of
Toronto.
improvement for both Boston and Toronto to be pretty similar. I think they're both going to improve, but at sort of a similar pace to each other. And I think at this point, Boston is they've shot themselves in the foot this early on. It's hard for me to see them beating the Blue Jays, but hey, you never know. Long season.
Long season. All right. Thank you guys for watching. If you disagree with my horrible take that the Red Sox will make the wild card, please let me know in the comments and tell me how much of an idiot I am. If you think
put the Twins ahead of the Red Sox in the wild card.
if you think the Yankees will fall off a cliff, please comment because I'd love to laugh in Scott's face about that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This has been
man.
The Last Word.